Alright, so I want to do another security video where I just talk about access control methods and models. And this is one of those things where it's not really necessary to have too many examples because it's just basic book learning. It's one of those CompTIA things, which is basically vocabulary. But when you're using the mandatory, it's called the mandatory access control model. What you're going to need there are labels. That's a component of it, just to label who gets access to what. Now, in the discretionary access control model, the owner of the resource is in charge of setting permissions to a resource. Basically, that gives discretion to a given department to mandate who can access it for what reason. Permissions are, of course, defined by predefined access privileges in the mandatory access control model. So, in a given role, you'll have a given set of privileges for that. Now, in terms of passwords, it's kind of counterintuitive. So if you're a system administrator and you want to set passwords that are secure, it's better to have them user generated, because when the user generates them, as long as your complexity requirements are sufficient, they will be hard to crack. However, if you set them automatically, you automatically generate them. Those are going to be generated given a set of rules and parameters that will be easy for an algorithm that is designed to crack passwords to discover. Easy to hack, right? And once they have that, they're going to have access to a lot of different passwords in the system. Of course, they can get into the password generation system itself, and then you're really hosed, so you definitely want to have them user generated. Now, if you want to detect unauthorized access, previous login notification, would be enabled, and you'd be able to detect it. Of course, ACLs can direct traffic. I've already demonstrated via CCNA material how to set some basic IPv4 standard ACLs. There are also extended ACLs that you can use. And of course, when you're implementing access control, you definitely want to have password complexity requirements, and those differ according to whether you want to, whether you do something in the private sector, whether you do something for, more secure organizations such as the government. They're going to use more complex passwords. Now, you also want to have user permission reviews from time to time in order to prevent people from having access to multiple systems as they've been promoted or moved within the organization. You'll have privilege creep at that point, allowing a privilege escalation attack to happen, possibly based on one of the lower privileges that user has. Somebody can get access to that somehow, and they can use it to basically get into a neighboring system using their login information and wreak havoc, of course. Now, rule-based access control is commonly found in a firewall. So we have that's another example of access control. Now that's basic. Okay, so if traffic coming from this IP address and this wildcard mask is happening, deny or allow, and all of that. So that would be an example of rule-based access control. So yeah, I just wanted to go over some, access control models and security models that are used in the real world and how they might be implemented.